After 15 months of protracted talks, government at the behest of President Museveni has allowed 50,000 artisanal and small-scale gold miners in Mubende and Kasanda districts to return to the mines. This decision will likely placate the communities in Mubende and Kasanda districts that had been expelled from the mines in 2017 after a concession had been granted to an investor. On August 4th last year, about 50,000 artisanal small-scale miners in Kitumbi and Bukuya sub-counties in Mubende district were evicted. On that day, a coterie of heavily armed police, military police and army surrounded the two areas and ordered everyone operating or living within boundaries of the gold mining fields to vacate within 2 hours. They were said to be there illegally. But Gertrude Njuba, one of the directors of AUC Limited, the company that lays claim to the most lucrative gold mining area in Mubende, accuses artisanal miners of frustrating her business.
When these people say we've had the license for a long time, for them they had a running business, they were thieves who can say, me, I can dress smartly because they went in your wardrobe and found the shirts you bought and started putting them.
Njuba, a heroine of the 1986 guerrilla war that brought President Museveni to power more than 30 years ago, told NTV during an interview at her offices at State House's land office along Lumumba Avenue that she acquired the area in 1986 without the slightest knowledge at the time of what lay beneath.
So somewhere around 87, an old man came needing assistance. I assisted him, and he was looking for something to give me. I said, no, you don't need to give me anything. I'm happy enough to see that you are happy. A few months afterwards, he came back to my office. In those days, I was in the Ministry of Rehabilitation. And he said, you did something good for me. I also want to do something good for you. I said, okay, what do you want to do? When I was a boy, there was a European who used to come, and he used to take us in some place in Mubende, and we would go there and mine, and he would go take whatever he got, then come back after some time. I know the place, and I know still there is gold there. And I told him, you know me, I don't know anything about gold. So I don't think I'll manage. In any case, I think mining gold needs a lot of money. So I don't think I'll manage. Then he said, I think you will manage. Because what you need, first of all, is to get a license, exploration license.
According to records from the Directorate of Geological Surveys and Mines at the Ministry of Energy's technical arm in charge of minerals, the company first acquired a location license for the area measuring about 207 square kilometers in 1987 and subsequently a mining lease for the area in 1994. Njuba revealed that her company has not undertaken any visible mining operations over the last 3 decades. She says that they spent close to $16 million, around 57 billion Uganda shillings, on various activities like geological studies and at least 100 million shillings in taxes.
And we were not able to explore. Why? Because these people just hated our workers. They looked at them as spies, as what. They didn't like them. And we also feared they could be killed. Some of them were not Ugandans. You know, Europeans, if a European dies there, the whole of Europe will be told, you can't invest in Uganda, they kill investors. So for 5 years, we could not do any exploration. We were sitting there. So obviously, the time was going, and the period of the expired. The licenses expired. We had to renew them.
She said the artisanal miners always worked with people in the Ministry of Energy and precisely knew the exact spots where gold is concentrated and have done some good damage in the period they were on the ground. The decision to evict the artisanal miners followed a meeting convened by President Museveni at State House Entebbe on June 13, 2017. During the meeting, attended by security chiefs and a host of government officials, the directors of AUC Mining Company Limited, that lays claim to the area, indicated that artisanal miners had blighted their operations. They asked government to renew their area license for at least 5 years after the expulsion of the artisanal miners. The area was sealed off by police's mineral unit as well as an army unit. Nearby town centers grinded to a halt. The little hope of prosperity now shimmered like a mirage. The two areas, according to multiple accounts, were home to not less than 50,000 artisanal and small-scale miners. There is no single agreed definition of artisanal and small-scale miners, although common references associate their activities with low levels of production, poorly skilled labor, poor technology, small claims, subsistence, and illegality. In defense of the evictions, government claimed that the gold mining operations had been infiltrated by foreigners who exploited loopholes in the system to profiteer from the lucrative trade. Last year, the Energy Ministry claimed that it had given 3 location licenses to over 5,000 artisanal miners in Mubende and Kasanda to resume mining, but in areas far from AUC's location area. This was after artisanal miners had granted several concessions, including forming organized groups. One group, Kayonza Chitumbi Miners Association, was awarded the license covering an estimated area of 32 acres in Bukuya Parish in Kasanda districts. Other groups were awarded location licenses in Madudu and Kalwana sub-counties in Mubende. However, some artisanal miners rejected this location on grounds that it was depleted of minerals. A month later, shortly after the evictions, with the ambivalent artisanal miners factions in disarray and as others mooted legal action against government, a hitherto unknown federation of artisanal and small-scale miners with 13 directors, including Njuba's daughter Stella Njuba as its head, was registered. The federation, better organized and comprising of land and bibanja owners in the surrounding areas in Mubende, started advancing discussions with government.
So, but eventually, I got a few young people, and we said, you go and organize yourselves so that government can now give you an area where they can allow you to mine in a small way, but not illegally.
On April 6th this year, President Museveni wrote to the Energy Minister, Irene Moloni, instructing her to renew AUC's exploration license and split it into 2, 70% for the company and 30% for the federation. I am informed that this federation was formed by those immediately expelled from AUC's exploration license area last year, and they include land and bibanja owners in the area, President Museveni wrote. During subsequent discussions and consultations, including with area MPs, several groups registered and started claiming part of the 30%. In one correspondence dated May 23rd, the acting head of the Department of Geological Survey and Mines, Zachary Baguma, wrote, it emerged that the affected miners and landowners were cooperated into several competing associations. The main two were the Federation of Artisanal and Small-Scale Miners Association and Mubende United Miners Assembly. The federation was opposed to MUMA being allocated any share of the 30% on grounds that it was not mentioned in the presidential directive. MUMA petitioned the Justice Ministry in June, and on June 28th, Minister Kahinda Otafire wrote to the Energy Minister, Moloni, warning of a clear and deliberate attempt to misapply the directive's purpose and intention. This may be is to deprive over 20,000 people represented by a collection of over 20 associations under MUMA of their property and infringe on their rights, Major General Tafiri wrote. This is unacceptable under the law and is bound to lead to protracted litigation. The impasse oversharing of the 30% was only resolved last month. The Energy Ministry Permanent Secretary Robert Kasande said that after going back to the drawing board, it was agreed that MUMA will take 10% of the 30%, measuring about 10 square kilometers, for which they were give them expertise to assess potentiality and mineralization of the area.
In going back, they must recognize that we are now reorganizing the mining sector, in particular the artisanal scale, small scale mining. It's not going to be business as usual where they use whatever chemical they want. However deep they dig, they will enter there unprotected. That will not happen. So we are trying to reorganize our own teams so that monitoring and inspection is regular. Support is given where possible to these artisanal small-scale miners to ensure that whatever they are doing is one, safe and also healthy to the environment. But also we would want to ensure that there is minimal interruption of activities of the other people.
By reorganizing the mining sector, which Kasanda said started with the approval of the new mining policy by Cabinet in May this year, means ASMs will have to act more responsibly. They will have to register their associations and members and clear financial obligations like taxes.
About 2 months ago, Cabinet passed the new mining and minerals policy. In that policy, it's very clear that if you are going to engage in artisanal scale mining in this country, there will be rules for you to follow. Those rules, if they are well enforced and if people adhere to them, they will be beneficial not only to this country but also to the miners themselves. Clearly, you don't want to be engaged in an operation that is unsafe for you, that impacts on your health. It might be long term before you see the impact, but clearly there is no way you can start using cyanide day in, day out and you have no impact. So we think that these interventions, one, people when they are working in an organized society should be able to, self-police themselves, if you will, but also will have enhanced inspections.
MUM's president, John Bosco Bucha, says difference with the federation, which they previously taunted as a briefcase company, have been ironed out, and the ministry ensured that a drafting agreement between the two warring parties is signed.
The ministry has already gazetted part of the 30% that we shared with the federation, because they also have a copy of the sharing agreement to MUMA. And they have already gazetted the percentage that remained with the federation. We are very happy. We have got 18.6 square kilometers of mining land. And the federation has about 44 or 42 point something over the same. So that is our agreement. We are happy with it. You cannot keep pulling ropes all the time. We were quarreling. We were making a lot of noise, and we could still continue making noise, but because we are now sure that our people are going to go back and begin working, we are happy.
Each of the 21 groups in the association, with total membership of about 40,000 members, Bucha will be allocated 1 square kilometer as a starting point to allow early mining works to resume mid-December. One sticking issue that Bucha could not commit himself to is the influx of foreigners like Chinese and Indians and others from neighboring countries into the new gold fields.
Foreigners, for us, we are not experts in looking for foreigners, because there is a whole Ministry of Internal Affairs which is supposed to be doing that. That is where we stop. But we shall make sure that we give opportunity to all Ugandans who are willing to work following our policies and regulations that we have put in place. That if you want to work with Association X, go and register. Pay the prerequisite funds for registration, because all associations must be sustained. This is business. It is not, we are doing business, we are not donors, we are not mediocres. And
Bank of Uganda indicated last year, with revenues surging to $340 million or 1.2 trillion Uganda shillings from $36 million. That's 129 billion Uganda shillings registered in 2015. What is, however, unknown and has been documented is that Uganda loses a lot of revenue in royalties from undeclared gold exports and imports. One of the key aspects of the new mining policy is recognizing artisanal and small-scale miners. According to the policy, government acknowledges participation of Ugandans in small-scale mining and remains committed to the promotion and formal development of ASMs. Gold exports from Uganda recorded an 89% increase in 2016. Bank of Uganda indicated last year, with revenues surging to $340 million or 1.2 trillion Uganda shillings from $36 million, that's 129 billion Uganda shillings registered in 2015.